And we are live. Okay, chicas, welcome in. Welcome to our chat of the day, Fueling the Future. I'm so excited that I'm going live today. We're going to be talking about some very interesting topics, including, of course, the newly launched SUMA Challenge. Así es que, bienvenidas. Let's give them a little intro.
How are you, Daisy? Last time you and I chatted was about silent quitting
It
and
was
about micro retirement. So today we're in a whole other vibe, but it's always great to see you and always great to be with Daniela.
Yes, great to be here. I think this is the first time I'm doing a live with you. So, Daniela Corrente, I'm the Chief Strategy and Business Officer here at SUMA.
Así es, chicas. It's good to see you again on live, of course, on webcam. Y primera vez para Daniela, welcome. Ok, chicas, pues let's go ahead and brief everybody a little bit about what the Suma Challenge is. I know we recently launched it. We've been having some great traction, I believe, and we haven't had a chance to explain it fully on live. Así es que arranquen.
Well, we wanted to make sure that SUMA really showed up for our community during these times. As some of you might know, and some of you might not know, Hispanic serving institutions, which are colleges and universities that usually get some sort of additional federal funding, got their funding cut, exactly $350 million, because I don't know, the Department of Education thinks it's not constitutional to fund specific demographics like ours. And we had been working with a lot of these colleges and universities to really try to get to at least 10,000 students or families from these students financial education, financial coaching. So we want to make sure, well, SUMA is still incredibly committed, even though with these funding cuts. And I think now more than ever, we need to really show up for our community and really start building the knowledge when it comes to money in our communities. And so we wanted to make sure that we still were able to do this. And so we are committing half of those memberships, half of that coaching to 5,000 students. And we're hoping that our community can support us with the rest. I don't want to know if you want to add anything else, Daniela, there.
Yeah, no, look, I want to say that our community has so much financial power. And I think that the more that we come together, the more that we support each other, the stronger that we're going to become. I know that these times have been pretty daunting for all of us, and there is so much uncertainty. And the best that we can do is be there to support our own growth. And when you hear that Latinos are a small piece of the economy, no, we're not. We contribute tremendously to the economy of the US, to the economy of this country in every single thing that we do. So it's very important to us to be here and really taking a stand for our community.
I completely agree. I definitely think and feel that I've seen a shift happen, in the just within the last year. And this campaign couldn't have came at a better time. More than anything, when there's shifts in policy, shifts in economy, shifts in everything, us young people, we definitely, my generation definitely feels it heavy. And we get this like really scary idea about the future, what's going to happen, how do I, like, this sense that we're losing control, right? And that brings me to the next question, which I want to put on the table, is like, why is this campaign urgent right now? Like, why are we bringing this campaign at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just kind of talked about that. I mean, there's been massive budget cuts to these institutions that we work with, and we were excited to bring a lot of our financial coaching and knowledge there. And we are still committed to do as much as we can as a community. But I do think that, we've said this before, no one's coming to save us. I think it's on us to really learn about, how do we manage our money better? How do we build wealth? How do we grow that wealth? And it's critical for our community. I mean, we see so much data around our, purchasing power increasing every year, and us driving GDP, and I just recently learned that Latinos are the ones who buy the most iPhones in the US. So we definitely have economic power, even in the struggle, even in the no tengo dinero. We're still driving the most in purchases in makeup and in other things. So how do we go from a side of being incredible consumers, being incredible investors or incredible savers, right? Because we don't think about our future. We don't think about our retirement. We don't think about that. We think like, live for the moment. I always joke that my mom says this all the time. Dios proveerá. Sure, but like you also got a plan. And so I do think that not just because of the moment that we're living, I think in general, we saw with the pandemic how little Latinos had in emergency savings. That taught us a lot. So we got to start for SUMA. We like to start with the younger generations. Maybe as older people are more set in our ways and it'll be harder, but I do have a lot of hope in the younger generations. And that's why our relationship with colleges and universities is so critical, to teach them as young as possible about making better money choices and start building that generational wealth.
Yeah, and in times of economic downturn, we keep hearing other communities always talking like, oh, there is opportunity. There is opportunity to build wealth. Be prepared to build wealth. I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times, Daisy, when you're on social. And it's like, okay, how do we bring that to our community? Because our community, we always default into, okay, scarcity, run. How are we going to survive this? And how do we move away from survival into actually building generational wealth? And that's where the education piece, it's very important. And that's what we do with the SUMA app.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned the SUMA app, yeah, and all of this about survival mode, it's right. Like to a lot of us, while we're in the moment, while we're in survival mode, it's even harder to pull our minds out of that bubble because we're like, oh, tengo que hacer esto. Yeah, like I gotta take care of my mom. I gotta take care of this. I gotta take care of that. Pero I do know, based on experience, that there's tools out there. There's tools that genuinely do help you make that mindset shift. Entonces, can you all tell us a little bit about what is SUMA providing? What is the SUMA Challenge providing? And how are these tools available for, to help the youth?
Well, Daisy, you're a super SUMA app user. So maybe I'm going to flip the question to you.
Okay.
To really tell us, like, you as a Gen Z, right? You as, a very young professional Latina, tell us a little bit about before you used our app and after. Like, how did you manage your money before? How has this helped you? What are your favorite features? Because with the SUMA Challenge, we are providing a year of financial support and the paid version of our app for hopefully for 10,000 people in our community. And that's just the start. So you tell us what are those incredible features that you love and how has it helped you, and hopefully how it'll help more people in our community.
Yeah. Thank you for flipping the question. I am like the biggest advocate for SUMA only because personally it has changed my life. Y los uso, as you guys know, I use this, I use the app literally 5 times out of my week. So, in my personal experience, before I joined SUMA, I was over $20,000 of debt. And this was credit card debt, not including student debt. This was just consumer debt. And I was already on the journey of getting out of it, right? So I was in survival mode, making extra payments, making this plan happen. Months before I joined SUMA, I was maybe like 4 or 5 months into finishing this debt payoff plan. I was almost at the finish line, but I still had a couple months left. And I remember that once I joined and I started using the app and I got involved with the financial literacy resources and I got a little bit more equipped with the tools, it made that journey feel that much faster. And that was because I think what it was is it helped you make a mindset shift that money is just numbers. And by visualizing the net worth, by visualizing like my past behavior versus the now, it helped me feel better in those times where I only had $20 left. Like maybe I made a $500 payment on my credit card just to finish faster, but I was left with like $20 and I'm like, man, I feel behind. I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I'm still in survival mode, but I would log into the app look at the net worth and see, oh my God, no, wait, my net worth has literally gone up by 12% in the past 3 months. Like, okay, I'm doing fine. Like, I'm doing good. So it gave me a lot of more mental peace. Then the more I started using it, just as the expense trackers, the budgeting trackers, the goal setting app, it made everything else skyrocket. Like, I was able to then immediately build an emergency fund of about $8,000. I was able to get my credit up. I was able to just feel more in control, right? And I was able to easily start shifting my mindset out of scarcity into a good relationship with money. And that was the hardest part, because once you're out of debt and and you know, you're young and you're barely making, like, you're making enough, but just enough to, you know, for your life to make sense, you still have the remnants of survival mode. But when you have the tools available, you build such a good relationship with money that it makes everything so much easier. And that's what I hope that other people get out of this, is by having these trackers, by knowing just, hey, maybe I just shift, maybe I just sacrifice like a Netflix account for a Hulu account this month. Like, I just have to switch some things around, but things are possible in my budget. It genuinely just changes everything. And so me being the first one in my family to change my relationship with money is affecting everybody else. My cousins in Mexico, they asked me actually the last time I went, they were like, ¿Cómo administras tu dinero? O sea, ¿qué haces with your first paycheck or your second paycheck? Immediately I could answer it. Why? Because I learned from the courses I took at SUMA. I learned from the way that I manage my money. So I can easily see how it's now impacting my older cousins in Mexico, my mom, my dad. And so that's my personal take on why I truly believe a SUMA membership would change other people's lives.
Amazing. And so this is obviously a challenge where we're inviting our community to support us just with $100. And obviously, any amount helps. Could be $5, $10, $100. Give somebody a full year of financial coaching, financial education, includes our Sumaversity, includes all the premium features in our app. And this is a tax-free contribution. So just so you guys know, any contribution that you make, instead of paying all the money you will pay eventually by the end of the year in your taxes, you know you're doing something really good that's directly affecting in a positive way our community. So we encourage everybody to go to sumachallenge.com and support with whatever you might be able to, and know that that will be a tax-free contribution.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about the progress that has been made so far in this, you know, effort to raise, you know, for the youth to raise in this campaign?
Sure. I think we're hoping to get to $7,000, I believe, or $10,000 by next week. We are, I think, at 7,000 around there. Super grateful for people who have made contributions in the thousands of dollars and in the $5. Every single dollar counts, and we're so grateful for the way the community has responded, just being like, yes, we need to show up for our community, we need to show up for each other. So that's been really incredible to see. So we're making progress. You know, we'd like to obviously get to a bigger number, because the bigger number, the more people that we can be supporting. So we want to encourage everybody to contribute with what you can, but also share with your own friends and family what is happening, and also tag people. I'd love to see people that you think need this financial education, this financial coaching, and we'd love to start gifting these yearly wealth building memberships to them. So share and tag and contribute with whatever you can, and we'll be paying a lot of attention to those tags and contacting people to make sure that we get to onboard them to all the resources.
Yeah. And think of this as a long-term contribution, right? Because even if you're putting $100 this time, that's for a full year of a membership of somebody. That's a full year that you're giving somebody tools to make their financial life better. And their financial life is not going to go incrementally better for these 12 months. The learnings that they have are going to help shape their financial future long-term. And to your point, Daisy, the ones are around us, our families, our friends, the people close to us, which we can share the financial knowledge with.
I
Yeah.
completely agree. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Bea.
No, I was just going to add to what Daniela was saying. We see this pattern a lot, and we always call like Latino youth that has this multiplying effect. So, yes, obviously, even if you get a year of coaching, that knowledge will carry to God knows how many years, hopefully, your whole lifetime. And then that translates into the next generations because, you'll pass that to your kids, to your grandkids. So it's really a ripple effect. I hadn't thought about that, but you're so right, Daniela, when it comes to the impact. But another thing that we always see with this multiplying effect is that a lot of our users are the ones who are responsible for managing the finances of
Yeah.
some other family members. So at SUMA, on an average, we see that they're managing the finances for 3 additional family members. So imagine that, right? One gift of $100 that gives this coaching to one person goes beyond the year, really, can bring in other generations, but immediately it's getting passed down or up to a few parents, a younger brother and sister is what we've seen. So 3 additional members. So think about the incredible impact that you are making in those families and in those communities with $100. That is also tax deductible to you. We
Mhm.
think that's just a really fantastic way to support somebody because it's having that massive reach. So we're excited about that, and we also report on our impact. I think that we should think about, Daisy, by the time the year ends, to publish our impact report. We have an
Yeah.
incredible deck with all our impact and our numbers. Maybe actually post a video so people who are watching us can see what we have done so far, what we have done with
Mhm.
thousands of businesses, with thousands of learners and students, because we're very proud of the impact that we make. We are a certified B Corp, which is very hard certification to get, which means we are here not only to make money, but also to have a great impact in our community. And so we are required to report on that impact in a public way. So we're gonna make sure that before the year ends, that we report that publicly here on LinkedIn, on all of our socials, so people can see, that it's not just us, it's also your support that has helped us got to this place.
Absolutely. I definitely do know. And like, I understand that once people are hit with financial literacy resources, there is no going back. It's almost like there's a
Mhm.
clear before and after. Knowing financial literacy is one of the strongest things in moving the generation ahead and moving in it with confidence. And so once you learn it, you take it with you for the rest of your life. And not just that, but yeah, I've seen people that don't only share it with their immediate family members, but they're sharing it with their best friends. They're sharing it with even their audiences online. As many of our generation, like my generation, is very notoriously online. A lot of us are content creators. We're always on there. And so this is the type of information that just multiplies even faster. And I'm really excited that, yeah, I think we should definitely do an impact report, because I can just tell that this year is just different. And question, what are your personal connections to the Suma challenge?
Go ahead, Daniela.
Yeah, look, as I've said before, I'm born and raised in Venezuela, moved to the States for college, and then really quickly got into credit card debt because I honestly didn't know any better. And because of that, I became fascinated with financial psychology, right? I didn't know what was going to happen with my credit card, the interest rate. And sometimes that happens a ton with our community. You don't know, and they tell you, okay, then you have this opportunity to get this $2,000 credit card. And you're like, oh, where do I sign? And without asking all the questions. And how would I know? Or how would you know if nobody had ever told you? So to me, this is very important, the work that we're doing in SUMA as a whole, because I wish that I would have had the tools, the access. And of course, this is back many months ago in the early 2000s. So it's not like I could Google or ChatGPT or go to a financial advisor or to anywhere back there in the way that we can do it now. But it's important also to find sources that are credible sources. There is so much out there right now. To your point, right? Everybody has a voice, everybody has a point of view that is very valid. But we do have the certifications from Arizona State University. We do have certifications with our partners. We work with some of the largest financial institutions in the country. So whatever we're putting out there, it's not only to make our community better, stronger, but also it's important to us as a B Corp to drive impact. So it's a twofold for us, where as we grow as a company, a Latina-led company, it's also important to us to see how our community is growing with us.
That brings up a good point when you mentioned community. You know what clicked in my mind? It was the idea of um, our community's issue with, talking about money, conversing about money, opening conversations about money. And recently we just launched, right, a new tool that I think has a very strong tie into that culture. Would you guys, girls, be willing to talk a little bit about what we just launched within the SUMA app, how this ties back into the conversations that people can have around money, and yeah, overall, like how this can tie into the bigger vision of the SUMA challenge and our goal?
Yeah, I think you're so right that we don't really have conversations about money. And just to add to Daniela and your previous question, but I'll get to this one too. I never talked about money with my family. My family talked a lot about philanthropy, right? Like giving back, what we're talking about here too, giving back and being altruistic and, giving everything you had to people who had less than you, but never about wealth building, because it was so sort of like de mal gusto, like, oh my gosh, no. My dad actually did not like people with money. So he had like a challenge, right? When he was like, oh my gosh, how am I making money? And I don't like people with money, so I got to give it away. And so in his mind, it was that. But if he had learned about wealth building, he could have given away a lot more money, right? So it's okay whether you want to keep it or give it away. It is on our own right to learn how to make money. And, we've always dreamt of having that relative that's really good with money, whether it's your cousin or your tia or somebody that is fun and funny and loving, but wise. And many of us don't have that. So we built it with an AI agent. And you're able to have these conversations with him or her. You can choose the gender, you can choose the name. And it's really exciting because you can ask anything about your finances. You can adjust your budget. You can ask if you can. We had one user ask if, he could afford Bad Bunny tickets in Puerto Rico. And, our agent gave him all the positives and negatives around it. Like, if you do this, you can do it. If you commit to this when you come back, and if you manage this way, your no spend days, in a month you could be there. So it's exciting. The other thing we love is everything that we build as SUMA has our community front and center. So even in the way we train the AI, it's trained by people like us, right? Like, it definitely understands. It's very hard to understand sometimes Spanglish, because anytime I try AI, it's asking me English or Spanish. Like, I have to pick. And I'm like, I don't want to pick. We've all had this conversation in both languages, and we want our AI to be culturally trained like that. So we're very excited about launching our first agent that helps you with your personal finances. We're going to launch very soon a whole suite of agents to help with for small business owners or side hustlers or solopreneurs, micropreneurs. So we're very excited to use technology to really support our growth personally with our finances or professionally with the growth of our businesses.
Yeah, imagine how easy, right? One thing with money is that when we think about money, automatically we think like red spreadsheets, financial statements, right? It's very overwhelming if you've never thought about money from a positive mindset. And what I'm very excited about with the new product that we release with our agent, it's the fact that you can have an easy conversation. with money. That you can connect your accounts and then you can be like, okay, how am I doing? Where am I spending the money? And I don't need to see a list of transactions, or I don't need to open my accounts and my credit cards in order to figure this out. I connected my credit cards, I connected my check-ins, my savings. I'm like, okay, tell me, how am I doing? How can I make the best out of this money? And have a conversation 24/7 with my money, because let's be real, like sometimes I have questions about my money, or I think about things I want to do when I'm going to bed at midnight. Who am I going to text at that time to have that conversation? Am I going to log in three different accounts? Absolutely not. But can I pull my phone and just type it and have the back and forth? Absolutely, right? It's easy, it's attainable. And for us, and that's something that Mary Hernandez also always says here at SUMA, she's a CEO and co-founder. She always mentions, how can I make this the easiest that we can make it in order for people to feel better about their money? So that's what we really are striving for, making these money conversations easy, fun. So the more that we demystify that money is scary, money is a tool to unlock the life that we want. And so how do we make it work for us, and how do we make that easy?
But also for any data geeks, which Mary Hernandez is one of them, you can also dive into your chart. So not to say we only had the chat and you're like, wait a second, I do want to see every single transaction, every single trend in the past, 6 months, and how do I compare myself to this, and what percentile am I? We certainly have that. So for anybody interested in that, in all those very detailed charts with all the transactions, you're able to see every single thing from every single credit card, every single bank statement. You don't have to, like Daniela mentions, be connecting to all these banks and then figuring it out. And it's all in one place, which is amazing. And if you're not the type to dig deep into every single transaction, you could also just say, like, how much did I spend this weekend on eating out or on drinks, or how much did this trip end up costing me, and how do I adapt my budget to make it work and to get back on track in the next month? Like, so you're able to just do simple things, or you're able to also do complex things. So we don't want to scare away anybody who's deep into data who also wants to go that route.
Yes, everybody. And it's Friday night, right? We all want to go out. So you can ask our agent, hey, look, based on my plans, based on my savings, based on my goals, how much can I spend this weekend while still having fun, right? And so it makes it easy, and I love that personally.
I think too, a really functional part about the data, about everything, is the availability to have awareness with money, which, okay, I see here in the comments, the Marisol Isaula said, I think personally, as a first-gen mujer, it's been a big learning curve to be financially knowledgeable and learning through mistakes and debt. So happy younger gens have access to this. Yes, I agree, because the thing about it is that sometimes the very first step is just having awareness, just knowing the patterns, just seeing the numbers, just seeing the total amount of debt, the total amount of savings, the total amount of everything. Y ya después, it always turmoils into the next step and the next step, and wanting to learn more and wanting to do more. And what's super important about having tools beforehand is we're trying to have people prevent learning from just mistakes, right? I wish I would have learned from the SUMA app before I got into, all that debt. But a lot of the times it just happens like that as a first gen, because we don't know any better. Nadie nos enseña. Our parents don't take the time to, talk about really good financial tools for us. So hopefully we're able, to really spread all of these memberships to so many people, and that they can have access to awareness, access to financial literacy, access to tools, so they don't have to make the mistakes and learn the hard way, right?
For sure. And listen, Marisol, hi, all the way to Arizona. Marisol is an amazing career and personal coach who I adore. And she has an incredible women's group already. So we would love to be able to distribute a lot of the memberships that we already have ready to go, thanks to the support of our community. So you could see this literally in action this moment, right? So to these amazing Latina mujeres that I've had the privilege to meet at some events in Arizona, we'd love to be able through you, Marisol, to give them these annual coaching memberships. So hit us up, tag them on our socials, on our Instagram, wherever you see our challenge, and we'd love to like connect with them and be able to give them, or we could do it through you. So again, our plea is join the SUMA challenge. $1 goes a long way. $100 goes an entire year and a lifetime, like we're saying, and potentially generations to come. This is a tax-free contribution. And tag anybody or yourself that you're like, I want this free coaching and membership. Because of the generosity of our community, we're able to gift this to you. So thank you for everybody who has contributed, because you can see your contributions in action when you see actual names of people tagged on our socials that are getting access to this free financial coaching and education.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and soon enough, we're going to be distributing all of these memberships out. So if you know anybody, any friend, anyone in college, any one of your group members who are really needing budgeting trackers, who are really needing the tools within SUMA, tell us to send us a DM, tag them in our posts, like let us know, send us an email if you want. And we'll definitely have everybody, get these memberships so we can all see change happen. Así es que we're almost at the end of pretty much our live. If anybody has any questions, please tag them down below. Of course, you can always reach and support us and donate at www.sumachallenge.com. Any contribution helps. But as you know, 1 year of SUMA tools is $100. So the closer we can get to that amount per donation, the better we can serve our community. Do we have any questions that you guys, girls, or the audience wants to ask? And of course, Bea, Daniela, any other last words that you'd like to give?
Go ahead, Daniela.
No, not really. I'm excited about what we're doing. I'm excited about this initiative. And I mean, both of you know that I'm always looking at the positive side of things. And with everything that's happened this year, I think this is really all about us showing up as a community. With SUMA, without SUMA, obviously we have the SUMA challenge and we would love for you to participate. But let's show how strong we are as a Latino community supporting each other's growth.
Yeah, I echo that. I mean, never let a good crisis go to waste. So maybe looking at the glass half full, it's going to take the challenges that we've been living through the past year to really unite us as a community, and really to make us think that without economic power, we will never have true power as a community. So let's give each other the power that we fully deserve.
I agree. Hay que arrancar con todo. Let's go ahead and
Con
make
todo.
sure it's con todo with all our efforts. We thank you, the community, for making this happen. We're seeing the traction, the growth, the love. So we truly, truly appreciate it. And we cannot wait to have all of these memberships impact people, help people out. And of course, DM me. I'm always on our Instagram. I'm always available on socials, and we'll continue to post content so you can see the impact that SUMA's creating.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining.